Hey guys, how's it going? Jovan Hutton Pulitzer here. Hey there, first year Desert Rat. You're right, you're first. Hey Aaron, how you doing? How's it going, dear? Tracy, Pale Horse, Tina Marie, JB from Boston, Beck Ann, Terry, Robin. Hey, how's it going, folks? I just decided to kind of pop in because I haven't been. Sorry, as I fix my earphones there, because I haven't really been. Should we say, checking in as often as I normally do. And I wanted to say, hey, from everybody, and just check in with you and let you ask some questions and try to give you some feedback and stuff. The interesting thing I just saw, right? Hey, Ryan from South America, and is that, traveling and stuff's going on, being in and out. But I just saw a report that I thought was very interesting. And what was interesting about it was that now in Washington State, think about this, in Washington State, they just released that they are going to mandatorily require vaccinations for anyone that is doing any work for the government in any capacity whatsoever. So think about this. Ready? Brenda said, Brenda, have you talked to Mastriano? No, I haven't. He hasn't reached out to me yet. So don't get off that subject real quick. They're going to require a vaccination. And so you know what that really means? That actually means for people that as these states begin to get audits and everything, that if you're going to be participating in any kind of audit or anything like that, that you have to be vaccinated. It's another way to isolate people out that just, should we say, don't want the vaccine, right? And trying to push people out. It's really interesting. Anyway, I'm going to try to answer some questions for you. You're going to see me looking at my screen here as I try to pop it up for everybody, right? I refuse, not going to do it. You're right. A lot of people are that way, as it should be. Getting a lot of saline shots, maybe it should. And so it's interesting. It's interesting to say the least. But you're right. Who said that? Ann said insanity reigns. That it does. Insanity reigns. Yes, it is a, where is it? Hang on. They go by so fast. I try to get it right. There it is, Bruce. You're right. It is literally a crazy world. So, okay, let's kind of go through some of the questions you may have. I know a lot of people, like already mandated in Virginia, Dorothy said, not getting the jab. I've seen people losing their jobs. Hey, Canada. Hey, Bonita, thanks for joining in from Canada. Anyway, it is communism. It's exactly right? Tina says, Trump is supposedly a Nazi, yet now the left wants to ask us for papers. Isn't that interesting? I think a lot of these, it's really funny when I see people join Antifa or be part of Antifa, that they are anti-fascist, when in reality they're implementing the exact same fascist measures that were done in Nazi Germany, right? And so I've come to believe it's really just kind of like double words or double entendre, anti-fascist. They're anti anybody not fascist. That's what's going on. So what's happening with the Michigan audit? Kathleen, Michigan was offered by Patrick Byrne to fund my doing of my type of audit in Michigan. Let's just go ahead and do all the ballots there. And not a single lawmaker has reached out, not a one. And so they've now been told, won't cost anything. So you don't have to worry about it. Just have access to the ballots. And let's just begin to understand election integrity. Did everything happen the way it was supposed to happen? And let's just kind of settle this and give people a reason to calm down. Not a single Michigan lawmaker reached out. And even the one lawmaker I talked with, who is exceptionally good at doublespeak, one of the things he talked about was pricing and whatever. And when I fed this back, talking to Patrick and other people, we just removed that out of the way, right? Okay, now you don't have to worry about pricing. Here it is, right? Let's just get it done. Crickets. So, Pat, how do you know I'm not in Sioux Falls? You'll see tomorrow. I can't answer that, but you'll see my part tomorrow. What do I think about the recent devolution? Well, if you mean that in the way I use devolution, I would say we're devolving. Absolutely devolving. Sean, you're right. It isn't about the money. They're going to find any way they can say no and not do it. What I think is funny is think about a state that was all proud and happy doing a chest thumping that we got rid of 200,000 bad voters, old voters on our rolls. 200,000. How convenient after the election that they cleaned it up and said they started the process in 1999. By the way, there is no process, right? They mail the ballots or whatever. People don't respond. They get put on a clock timer or they get reports in. They don't use it. It goes out. Well, there's never been an incentive to cycle them out. They needed to build them all up. And so they're all thumping their chests. Look at the great cleanup we did. We got rid of 200,000 bad files. Well, yeah, you did that in 2021. You certainly didn't do it for 2020. And here's what's really interesting. If you look at some of the numbers on these precincts, and you know how to look at the data, you can find all of them were really batch loading in new voters. And they had standard attrition, death or otherwise, right, that would go out. But if you looked at how many new voters came in versus how many voters went out, you get a net new number. You follow me? New voters in, old voters out, you get a net new. And if you look at net new combined to votes, you see really weird irregularities that these net new people really voted much higher than everybody else in this last election. But you also find some interesting things like in one of the net new precincts I looked at, 10%, over 10% of their net new votes came from people that were previously deleted from the register rolls. Oops. Anyway, I don't know for 100% if Michigan's going to be at the Cyber Symposium. I can't tell you that. The audit was offered to them, period, free. Who knows? Who knows? I really don't know. YouTube Sucks says, there any legit politicians? I'm thinking maybe 5%, which is essentially zero. Politics wasn't my thing. I stayed away from politics because I just have a general distaste for it. But I can tell you, even with any preconceived idea you have about politics and it being bad, it's 10 bazillion times worse than you ever imagined. 10 bazillion times worse than you could ever imagine. I kid you not. Somebody said something about the video the other day. Let's see. I'm gonna try to load something real quick. I don't know if I can do this at the same time, but I'm going to try because there is a video you should see. Let me see if it's still on here, and I have it because somebody the other day did just the most rocking, incredible video. Hang on, I'm going to see if I can get it from. I got Telegram open here. Give me a minute, folks. Bear with me. I kind of multitask all the time. So let me go here. Let me go to save. Let me go to download. And when this gets done downloading, I'm going to play it here because somebody just reminded me this darn video that I posted the other day. absolutely fantastic. So it's going to be loading up in the background. No, I don't know. I don't know why anybody would get into politics, and I certainly don't know why anybody would want to be a journalist anymore. Both of them have completely ruined whether that's a business or not. Becky, great. You watched The Deep Rig. Great job. It's the Deep Rig movie.online, the Deep Rig or deeprigmovie.online. You can find it. But I'm really amazed by some of the am I related to the prize? No. I'm like the free parting gift if you hurry up and order now. I'm kind of like the little treat in the Cracker Jack box, right? Let's see. The Deep Rig, instead of paying $45 for the movie, it's free. Right? It's totally free. And when you watch it, people are kind of saying the same thing. It's eye-opening. It's truly eye-opening when you watch it. Mark Meadows. I don't know. Well, I do know what I would say about Mark Meadows. I'm not going to say it out in the open. A lot of questions surrounding Mark Meadows and whether he's a good guy or not. Couldn't tell you. Hey, so let me see if it logged up. Hang on. Let me see. Wait, 1, 2. Okay. Y'all got to watch this, guys. Watch this with me. Of course, I can see it when you see it. If you didn't see this video posted the other day, evidently these guys, the Remix Brothers or something like this, do this work. This is absolutely hilarious. Watch this. And of course, it has everything to do with in Arizona. They weren't turning over everything to us, and they're still not, right? Check out this little edit.
If we lost the election, we know when we lose. If I lost the election, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. Seriously. The county has refused to produce the network routers. We want the routers, Sonny. The county refused to produce the network routers. Wendy, we gotta get those routers, please. Get up! The routers. Come on, Kelly, we can get those routers. Those routers. Wow. If you got those routers, what that will show. And they don't want to give up the routers. They are fighting like hell. Why are these commissioners fighting not to give the routers? How simple could it be? That will tell the truth. And they don't want to give up the routers. What are they trying to hide? And I say it, and I'll say it, because the easiest way of cheating is to throw them away. That's easier. The county has refused to produce the network routers. We want the routers, Sonny. The county refused to produce the network routers. Wendy, we gotta get those routers, please. Get up! It's so unfair. It's so unfair. It's so ridiculous. I'll be honest though. Look, we all like to win. If I lost this election, I could handle it pretty easily. What? When in 24, sir, you're gonna win. And I say, wait a minute, I just won 6 months ago. The big lie, they call it. Those claims are unproven. And knowing what happened in the election is a good thing, not a bad thing. It's a good thing, not a bad thing. It's a good thing. The county has refused to produce the network routers. We want the routers, Sonny. The county refused to produce the network routers. Wendy, we gotta get those routers, please. Get up! If you think about cancel, everything about cancel culture, they want cancel culture. But what they don't want to do is anything having to do with the 2020 election. We have no press. We have no voice. They almost got away with it. They may have gotten away with it. And I've got to tell you, I've got to say this. I've never said it before, but I've always thought it. I get along with Putin because that's a good thing, not a bad thing. The county has refused to produce the network routers. We want the routers, Sonny. The county refused to produce the network routers. Wendy, we got to get those routers, please. Get up! Get up!
Is that not the funniest stuff you've ever seen? So an actual speech, these guys are called the Remix Brothers. I'd never heard from them before, but you have to admit, that's a pretty good groove. And to be able to mix that out, that sounds like a legit song, right? So isn't that's actually funny? Okay, so let's see. Yeah, you're right. That's freaking awesome. Okay, so I think the video making fun of Trump and complaining how the blow in the wind of God Copeland video, very stupid for such a serious subject, but that's my opinion. I'm ready for something serious to happen. Alan, let me give you the background. The routers are a serious problem. These guys are hiding when it comes to Maricopa County, Arizona. There are, quote, unquote, Republicans like Boy Toy Boyer or Bullshit Boyer or Bolshevik Boyer, right? That Benedict Arnold Boyer and other people are helping them hide by not forcing things. Number one, you have two choices. You can bitch and complain, which only gets you so far. You can sue and you can work to the courts and warrants, which have now been issued. And another way to do it is make something like that video, which I think is absolutely brilliant. Do you know why? Because people that might not watch a really hard, serious subject can absolutely get into that video and just kind of rock with it, right? Because it's done really good. And they may have no idea of what we're battling in Arizona, go, well, what's this about the routers? What does it mean? And what it does is it opens up for a conversation with people that aren't paying attention, that you might be able to talk to them because of that stupid little video. Now, the Copeland part of it, that has to do with the Remix Brothers, and they've made some really cool remixes, like taking Copeland and setting it to heavy metal, which is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. He's preaching, but they set it to a heavy metal rock guy. It's absolutely phenomenal. So I think these things, Alan, they serve a place, and here's the place. If you tune into somebody like me, and Lord knows I can goof off, but we can talk about it and I get through it and you start looking, job done. If you tune into real serious newscasts like a Tucker, who's just right dead on focus, right? It's done the job. If you tune in to some random podcast because they've never had anything to do with the media, but you like them because they're maybe a duck hunter and now they're talking politics, it did the job. And so if comedy reaches people, it did the job. If movies like The Deep Rig reach people, it did the job. It takes all of these platforms to break through to as many people as possible. And sometimes it's that creativity that makes the difference. And so here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Set anger aside for a moment, okay? Now, you got to remember, if I can do this, and I can have my old fat middle-aged white man, super tall forehead do it, you can do it too. Let's just see, possibly, if we can come together over the tune.
If we lost the election, we know when we lose. If I lost the election, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. Seriously, the county has refused to produce the network routers. We want the routers, Sonny. The county refused to produce the network routers. Wendy, we gotta get those routers, please. Get up! The routers. Come on, Kelly, we can get those routers. Those routers. Wow! If you got those routers, what that will show. And they don't want to give up the routers. They are fighting like hell. Why are these commissioners fighting not to give the routers? How simple could it be? That will tell the truth. And they don't want to give up the routers. What are they trying to hide? And I say it, and I'll say it, because the easiest way of cheating is to throw them away. That's easier. The county has refused to produce the network routers. We want the routers, Sonny. The county refused to produce the network routers. Wendy, we gotta get those routers, please. Get up! It's so unfair. It's so unfair. It's so ridiculous. I'll be honest though. Look, we all like to win. If I lost this election, I could handle it pretty easily. What? Run in 24, sir. You're gonna win. And I say, wait a minute. I just won 6 months ago. The big lie, they call it. Those claims are unproven. And knowing what happened in the election is a good thing, not a bad thing. It's a good thing, not a bad thing. It's a good thing. The county has refused to produce the network routers. We want the routers, Sonny. The county refused to produce the network routers. Wendy, we gotta get those routers, please. Get up! If you think about everything about cancel culture, they want cancel culture. But what they don't want to do is anything having to do with the 2020 election. We have no press. We have no voice. They almost got away with it. They may have gotten away with it. And I've got to tell you, I've got to say this. I've never said it before, but I've always thought it. I get along with Putin because that's a good thing, not a bad thing. The county has refused to produce the network routers. We want the routers, Sonny. The county refused to produce the network routers. Wendy, we got to get those routers, please. Get up! Get up!
See, I do it with my fingers, so you don't have to see my stomach jiggle. Anyway, this is something you could take and show your tween, or if you have an Antifa member, maybe you have a twit in your family that just doesn't get this. This is something you could actually kind of get a few laughs out of, right? And just have fun. And you could talk about it. Here you go. Do they even need the writers when Mike Lindell's evidence of computer hacks? There's a difference on many levels in the routers that Mike will show on his cyber symposium, and that other things that are needed for an audit. The most important thing is, if you saw Karen Fann, as you see me put it, when shit hit the fan, Miss Fan hit the shit, right? Her name's Karen Fann, Madam President of the Senate in Arizona. Great lady, great lady. I really like her. But there were 30,000 intrusions into the election management system. 30,000 that were not able to be identified as an authorized user, meaning it was this person, this ID with this authorization. 30,000. Now think about that. They're really only tallying information and votes over a very tight area of time. Technically, in Arizona, I think they could begin to scan early ballots in the week before, but they couldn't tally them. That means they could get them digitally ready in, but they couldn't run tallies on them, which I think is futile, because when you put it in, you know. And then the day of the election, and then the time that they extended past the election to continue to do it. Even if they could do that for 30 days, and they didn't, it was like a week's time, weeks and a half time. Even if it was 30 days, that would be 1,000 entries going into the election management system. Seeing something and having access to potentially do something, but yet you can't identify who it was. Just think of it that way. That would be like having a trigger on your door at home, and you're gone for 30 days, and somebody goes in and out your house 1,000 times each day. Now, you just want to know who it is. So let's say you have one of these incredible Ring doorbells that every time somebody walks in and out, it snaps a picture, date and timestamp it, and stores it on a server so you can see who it was. Well, now it's your house, meaning it's our election. It's your property, meaning your votes, our votes. And we know where the data is. It's right there on the server. Except they did it over here on this server, and they don't want to turn it over, because if they turn it over, it will identify exactly who was that person or persons that entered your house 1,000 times a day, each day for the 30 days you were gone. That's how simple this is. It's like somebody not allowing you to look at your Ring doorbell. It's like somebody using your credit card 1,000 times a day for 30 days, even if it's a 25-cent transaction, it adds up really quick. But the bank, who's supposed to protect this, is basically saying, no, you can't look at it. Well, let's just say this bank is now trying to charge you $1 each time everybody came in. But you know you didn't do it. But you're saying, wait a minute, there's 30,000 intrusions in here. You can't charge me $1 for that. I didn't do it. And imagine your bank, who you allow to keep your money, who makes money off your money, tells you, well, you're going to have to pay it anyway. And you say, well, look, we can prove it's not mine. Just cough up the logs. I'll show you, where the ATMs and everything it was done. Nope, can't have that. You have to understand that is exactly what this server and router issue is. Period. That's exactly what this is. And so it's not a minor issue. Sometimes you just have to put it into context as if it was in your life and what it will mean. Janet says, what the fuck? Sorry, wrong one. That was Agatha that said, what the fuck? Janet says, who will have the next forensic audit? Atlanta, Georgia is the next one coming up, right? Larry says, can they go and delete the logs from the server? Technically they can, but there's always a footprint. And even that deletion will show, right? That deletion will show. And so that's the point, is they're stuck. And if they hand it over, they're in deep shit. And they try to weigh the risk of jumping to the crime part of it. Okay, remember, if election stuff has never really been treated as a crime. It's more like a slap on the hand and $1,000 fine, and then they run for office the next year, right? But when they intentionally go in and scrub and delete stuff, it crosses a barrier and becomes a crime, a different type of crime, a very serious crime. And so they try to play this wait game, to wait it out, to hope you give up, to hope you get tired, to make you go away. And that's what this is. They try to play a wait game. And that's why you have to understand what all of this means to all of us and how it relates. And so they're back there, folks, literally shitting their pants. I don't know how else to say it. A lot of these guys in these states, these men and women who have got themselves in this, a lot of them have lawyered up with criminal attorneys. Every one of the people in Fulton, Georgia have lawyered up with sophisticated criminal attorneys. And this is just the game that is played. This is just the game that's played. Unfortunately, it's played on our dime, played with our time, and played with our emotions, right? There's a lot of people that get emotional about this. Pliny the Elder says, Jovan, what's your view on California using QR code voting for the recall in September? QR codes are fully licensable out there. I can't stop that. QR codes do not protect an election. You feel comfortable that when you got your little receipt from Georgia or whatever state and it has a little Q code on it and you feel that's your vote. It's not your vote. It's a Q code that represents that transaction on their server. And they have two things over you. If they don't want to release the Q code database so you know where it goes, they don't have to. And then secondly, if they do get forced to release it, now they can say, well, it's on my server, that's proprietary information, and I'm not going to reveal the ballot image because I have to protect it. Q codes do not protect the vote. They track the vote. They can account for a vote, but they are only as good as the people that use them. So right now, if any of you have your Q code at home on your ballot, basically here's what you do. You go into it. Let's just do this together. Okay, hang on one second. I'm going to put this up on the screen. You'll see here how to do it. Okay, so hang on. So let me go to my screen. Okay, bear with me. Hang on, guys. Share screen. Nudie pictures of me. Here you go. Okay, this is a Q code decoder. Okay, it doesn't mean anything, and I don't know if I have a Q code on my desktop that goes anywhere. Let me just find one. So hang on. I'm just gonna grab a random one off the net and hope like hell it's, you know, no big deal. Okay, so let me save it. And so let's say you have a Q code. Okay, so what you do is you take your Q code and you find it on your desktop. So I'm gonna go right here, and if you had your ballot, you would take a picture of it and you would put it in here. So you see what I've done. It's decoding a Q code. And let's just see if this goes anywhere. Does not have enough contrast. Okay, hang on, I got to get another one. Bear with me. Let's go. Let's see where. Let me see where this one goes. Hold on. Save image, and that one was a transparent one, so that's probably why it didn't work. Okay, select file. Go into my new one. There's somebody's YouTube Q code. You can put it into this engine, which is freecodeformat.com. You can do this with your vote, and you can decode it, and that's all it says. See it? Boom. It just says where it goes. YouTube.com. How uneventful was that? So let's see if we can find a Q code on a ballot. QR code. Hang on, and see if I have one on ballot. I'm just searching it right now, so bear with me. I know this is a wonky screen, but I'm going to see if this one can be read. I do not know, but I'm going to try. And see if I can show you how the polling uncodes. Maybe it'll read this one. Okay, so I'm going to try another one. Going back to my decoder, go here, do this. But that, let's see what this does. Nope, see, so it's all that's buried in here. This one goes to NPR, blah, blah, blah. This is only making this code jump your computer here. Your ballot is something completely different than what you just saw here. You see that code only has a directive. That's the upper level use of a Q code. And so when you go and vote and that code's there, that code only does one thing. It assigns a number to you in that ballot and encodes the information. It doesn't tell you anything about your vote, not at all. And so you have to have two pieces of the equation to make heads or tail of any Q code that's on a ballot. The first one is the directive. Now, like I just showed you in this one, what's the directive? Well, the directive's right here. Let me see if I can zoom it up in my screen. That's the directive. Are you all able to see that? That's all it says. All that's contained in that directive is go here. That's it. Go here, period. Okay? Period. And that's it. Period. And so the second part you have to have is you got to have now the database piece. And so even if you have all this Ghibli code, you still have to go to Dominion and other people's databases, which they don't release, to actually even see what that code means. It does not matter that they printed it out on a piece of paper. When they give that code and they show you all those little lines that they say you voted, that does not mean that's what's contained in that code. That does not guarantee that's what's contained in that code. And that does not guarantee that when you go to that code and you look in their database, that that's exactly how it did it. But I do like everybody advertising over my channel and doing it. But that's the difference, right? It's just the way this stuff works. Big Pete says, what do I think of Seth Keshel's reports? I have not read Seth's reports. Seth and I have talked several times today. I don't look at other people's information. That way, in a court of law, since I'm also an expert witness, I can say I'm not biased by anybody else's other judgments or other information. I can tell you about Seth. Seth is exceptionally brilliant at what he does, comes from an incredible background and skills to do this. That is what I know about his report. So I can speak for him. Hey, let's do it. Charlie wants to do a poll. Here's Charlie on YouTube. Hey, Charlie. So yet the hands count, yet the hands count add up. Jovan is lying to you. Okay, Charlie. Charlie, message me your email. I'll put you right on here with me. Put up your email address. I'll send you a link. You can jump on with me and you can explain to everybody what you think I'm lying about. I'll wait and see if you pop in. Here it is. Let's see what else. Destiny thinks Charlie's full of shit. Okay, we'll see if Charlie sends it in. Charlie's full of shit. Do it, Charlie. Do it, Charlie. Specifics, Charlie. I always like that when people do that. We'll see. Everybody's calling him a coward. We'll see. Come on, Charlie. Let's go, Charlie. You know, some people say don't feed the trolls. That's the one type of person I would love to come into a broadcast and have the discussion. That is absolutely the one type of person that I would love to have come into a broadcast and talk. Okay. So here's how I understand Mike's offer. Mike's program starts tomorrow. It's a 3-day event, and it's a cyber symposium. And basically, if you can prove the data Mike's data, if you can prove that the data is false or was just made up, right? And show how it was done, that it's not valid data, right? You win $5 million. Results of the poll: Randy says Charlie's a jackass. Agatha says, speak up, Charlie. Benjamin says, good luck, Charlie. Linda says, sorry, Charlie. Carrie says, Charlie. Let's see. Come on, Charlie Brown. Let's just do it. Somebody says, well, they're saying Charles is a coward. Anyway. Come on, Charlie, show yourself. Thought so, just a cowardly person running your mouth. I saw something very funny. Hang on. Bet Charlie has a teeny tiny pen. That is hilarious. Such a small pen, it took him like 10 minutes to fill in an oval. Charlie, bit my finger. I mean my ass. Oh, okay. The moment Charlie knew he'd fucked up. Casey, that is funny, right? Come on, Charlie. Oh, come on, Charlie. I just think that would be great. Somebody says, oh, wait, hang on. Agatha says, Charlie, you're giving my dog Charlie a bad name. Okay, hang on. Why won't you just show the non-folded ballots? Legit question. So let me take you through a few drills. And if any of those guys see Charlie put in his email, right, I will take it and I will send Charlie a link. And we'll have Charlie come on. I don't know where he is or she is or it is, or maybe they don't identify it. But let me answer Rick's question. Why don't you just show the non-folded ballots? Anytime you do an audit of any kind, there are agreements with the Senate, who are the folks that approve it. There is nothing Vicky says, stop being mean to Charlie. He, she, or it might be a wonderful troll that has great personality. Come on, man. Anyway, when you do these agreements with the Senate makes the rules. And so anything that can be released publicly is done so according to the Senate, and the Senate has to approve it. None of us can violate that. That's just the rules. And we're talking, contracts that are like 50 freaking pages long. That's just the way it is. And that's done for many reasons, mainly because a lot of this goes hand in hand with work with the state attorney generals, although you never really see any of that. You see things being gathered and put together, and then people look at it and they go, okay, or they go, holy shit. And then, of course, it goes to attorney generals and legal teams, and they look at it and they go, holy shit. And then they have to kind of do their machinations. And so in this business of audits, it's, come on, Charlie, send your email. Marie, let's hope that Charlie's mommy didn't call for supper. Anyway, if I was to tell you that I could see something super secret, right? And here's how we see it, and here's it is. And I did like a lot of these people that are trying to make names for them as podcasters, as citizen pundits. They don't understand what's at stake. And so they'll rush out really quick to shit out something they think they got the lead on. And we're going to talk about it first, and it makes us cool. Well, let me give you an example. What if we could say, we've developed a way to see through buildings, to see through boxes, to see into the ballot bags and count them all. Total horse shit, but I'm just giving you an example. And the left or the bad guys thought there was really credible possibility of that. Then we would have outbreaks of more warehouse fires. There's enough as there are. There are enough nefarious things going on that you don't want to do anything that tips off what you're working on and what you find. And so I think some of these people that rush to do those quick reports have no understanding of what this really is and how you have to do it. And they get a little tip from somebody who heard from somebody that had lunch from somebody that watched the TV program at one time that might have mentioned it. And they go out there like it's a story and many times don't vet it. And you always have to understand, this is a war. This isn't games. This is a war. I might make fun of it just so I can cope with it, but this is a war. And so if you really tipped your hand to the nefarious actors, don't you understand these are the same people that'll burn up warehouses, blow up cars, do anything they can do to keep this from being found out? And so when I see people go, why don't you just show this? I just want to explain to you, you have to understand this is nastier, uglier, more disgusting, more icky than you could ever imagine. Than you could ever imagine. And I'm a pretty sophisticated, smart guy. I may come across like a dumbass and I may act like a smartass, right? But I can tell you, even my eyes, I don't even look through the same eyes anymore. I knew enough about the system and had been in system and big deals and the whole bit to always know there were bad things, but I never believed in the big, grand, ultra coordinated big bad thing until this. And so, folks, you have no idea. You just really don't. You have no idea. There's far more that we don't talk about than we do talk about. But to go back to that one question, it's all a process. I know it's unnerving. right? Everybody wants to know everything right now. News is 40 characters. Don't you dare exceed 120 characters or it's too fucking long for me to read. That's the society we live in. But that's not the reality in this fight. This is war. This is war, whether you know it or not. And as much as I would love to tell you everything, I just ask you to remember one thing. Even if I could tell you certain things and show you things, because I tend to explain things and try to explain them in a way you understand them. Look at my feed, right? Look at my feed. Look at the comments. For every 800 of you, at least, for every 800 of you, there is one troll mouthing off. For every 500 of you that are joining me now, and there's thousands, there is somebody from the other side hoping I say something that tips them off. So let me get this straight. If I actually knew every single piece of everything that was done, this is not where you do it. Because you know what I'm not willing to do? I'm not willing to train their attorneys who watch everything I do. I'm not going to give them any heads up. The way I fight this war is the war of 1,000 paper cuts. In the case of Arizona, 2 million images in, 20 million proof files out. It's a war of 20 million proof files. One paper cut hurts. Millions of paper cuts ends the program, and it's a very horrible death. And there is no way I am going to give them any pre-advanced warning of how to defend this, to find it, to do it. So, okay. Let's see. I'm gonna try to go back because somebody's saying, hey, and you can't post YouTube videos, guys. People can't understand them. Let's see. I want to try to find. They're trying to flag me for someone. Proofs are important, right? Proofs are important. You want to see what a proof file looks like? I can show you what a proof file looks like. Here, let me give you an example. Hang tight. I'm going to show you what a proof file looks like. Give me one moment, because of this I can show you. You remember the report that Arizona showed and Doug Logan showed for the Senate, and it showed out of calibration. I'm going to explain this to you, and then I'm going to show you what a proof file looks like. You'll like this, right? Because this kind of stuff I can show you, and I want you to know. So hang on. So this is what's called an out of calibration report. And here's how you read it, right? And so basically, so you understand, and this is just a generic one, right? In this particular file, to test the calibration, which means it has to have that plus sign on the back side, means that little plus sign on the back side out of 45% of this one folder wasn't even there, which shows it's a bad ballot to begin with. And then you look here on the target, only 4% of them were exactly on how they were supposed to be done. These other ones, 28%, you know, this is 49%, all this crap over here. It not only shows you how bad they were, but it shows you how they drift. Now, here's why you need to understand that. Let me stop sharing my screen real quick, and I'm going to show you what a proof file looks like. And so I learned from the trolls, don't take my word for it. I don't need you to, take my word for it. I need to show you it, right? And you need to see the proof file and be able to make up the understand what happened yourself. So I'm going to show you a proof file, and I wasn't prepared to do this, so you just got to give me a moment. Let's see here. It's going to pop a video on my screen. Wait, it's going to pop a video on my screen so I can get a, oh, good, I can do this one. Here you go. Hang on. Never mind. I can show you this one. Okay, here you go. Ready, stand by. And so this is what's basically a proof file, okay? And a proof file here, if you were looking at this one on this screen, the one on the left here, that's exactly where the plus should be. This is a proof file. This shows exactly where the plus is. That one's thousands of % out of range. I can't show you the exact numbers. That's how I'm protecting the file. But basically, every image that starts out one way has proof images that go with it. So it's not just, hey, here's this report, take my word for it. Literally, if you have 2 million of this particular image originals, you get 2 million originals back with the plotting over it that show exactly what happens and how far something is out of calibration. And so I will give you a proof here. Okay, and it just shows how far it goes out of calibration, because that's the whole point. You have to mark it and you have to show it. And in the one, I can't show you the numbers, but I'm going to show you the ones that don't show the numbers. You literally see, here's the file, here's the ballot. This particular ballot, you're looking at exactly where that registration mark is on this ballot. That's how you know when something's wrong. So it's not just, hey, that's it. Can you see this? Let me make sure I shared that right. Hang on, maybe I didn't share it right. Share screen. Here you go. Do it again. There you go. See that? That's how you see how far out of alignment it is. See that? This is way, that should be dead center. And so anytime you do this, you're building evidences and proof, and that's all this game is. It either is or it isn't. I can't move that. We work with photographs. I can't move that. So we're basically showing here it is, and here's what happens, and we plot it, and you look at it, and then you understand what happens. That's what this is. But if we ever literally just blurt it out, hey, we found this, and here's what it is, we would only be teaching the other side to defend themselves. And that's not about what defending themselves is. That's about, you got to do it right. Florence says, I hope Mike leaves all the evidence presentation to the professionals. A lot of people have questioned that. Will Mike be the one talking and explaining, or will there be other people talking and explaining? I don't know yet 100%. Thank you, Allison. I don't know yet what or how Mike's going to do it. Giovanna Alvino. Okay, can you explain this to me like I'm 5 years old? No, hang on. Let me see if I can show you why this matters. So if you take a ballot and you print it out of calibration, right? And so think of a ballot as a mirrored image like this, and then the ovals are supposed to be offset like this, okay? So you don't print it mirrored image 100%, because if you mark on it on the back, it could show through. And so what they do is they have to be lined up perfect. So this would be perfect calibration. My big, fat, ugly, long hands, okay? And so you have one image on the front side and one image on the back side. Now, the image on the back side is purposely designed so none of, let me get my hands lined up, so none of the ovals collide. So now you can see the columns for ovals are all in different places. So this would be an example of a properly printed ballot where if you mark on the front, it doesn't change anything on the back, or if you mark anything on the back, it doesn't change anything on the front. Now, let's say you had a 2,300% out of alignment to the northeast. Now, remember, it's in reverse. And so we're going to say my bad finger here is the presidential, my fingernail is the presidential election. So the two to worry about are the presidential oval, and on the back here, that's technically a judge oval, okay? And so they're supposed to be misaligned so they don't do it. So let's say we have a north by northeast off alignment in this ballot. So the ballot starts to twist on the backside. And when that twist on the backside happens, you get something like this. Now you can see they're kind of over-registered. Here's my presidential oval, okay? And here's my judge oval, but they're set just side by side. And so what happens is when the judge ovals voted on the back on cheap paper with the wrong pen, it takes two ovals and it puts them immediately side by side. Now, most systems, most of these voting systems, when you have an oval voted here and it reads around this area, we know all the areas it reads, and if another oval shows up like this, right, it actually reads it as an overmark, an overvote, as a scratch out. So what happens is if the paper bleeds through, and this is the back and this is the front, and they're supposed to be offset, right? Like this. This is the front. Wait, no. This is the front. This is the back. If they're lined up just out of calibration like this, and this one votes, it actually inserts that oval and that oval, and they bleed through and come together. You can't tell the difference. And so what happens is it can make things look like they were a scratch out. If you do it right, you can take one person's vote here, make it look like a scratch out. But if you're really crafty about the calibration big out, you can have a scratch out here, and you can make a total of vote that didn't appear on the front here actually come to the front, and it makes this one look like a scratch out and this one look like a vote. Do you understand what I'm saying? All of these little dynamics of misalignment, right? Literally can change the outcome of misalignment. Even if the ballots are folded wrong, if that fold cuts through the oval, if you were to look at a ballot, and damn it, wouldn't you know I don't have one right here. If you were to look at a ballot, and if you have one at home, look at it. If you have one of the 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 or 15, whatever, right? The fold has to occur on a perfect line. It can be no more than 2 millimeters thick, and it has to go at an exact location and fold over. So no ovals are interfered with. And in the opening and closing of the ballots, it doesn't interfere with an oval, because even if the fold is wrong, then the vote cannot count. Ego Talon says, then the ballots get adjudicated all 100% for China Joe. If there's the answer, XJ has it. Adjudication is very left-leaning. Technically, here's how adjudication's supposed to work. I'm going to give you a test. Pay attention. Adjudication, when the machines, which have sensitivities, you can turn them up to adjudicate a lot. You can turn them down to adjudicate a little. This year, for the first time, artificial intelligence was entered where the machine decided what the person thought first. And then if the machine wanted a person to look at things, it could make them look at it, but you still didn't know what the machine self-adjudicated. But anyway, let's set that aside. And so when you get these conflict errors, right, and the machine technically saying, what is this? You're supposed to have two people, one from each party there. They look at it together. They decide on what it is. And if they have a conflict, they ask a supervisor, and the supervisor decides it. If one of them doesn't agree with the supervisor, it gets relegated to another supervisor. Do you understand what the problem in that formula is? Let me describe it for you. People, and opinions. So here's the funny part about it. There is no rules or laws or even balanced checks and measures that both of those people sitting there are of opposite parties. Nobody checks it. Nobody verifies it. It's not a hard rule. They don't stop counting if they don't have a person there. If that person, if you only have one person to sit there at adjudication, you don't have enough people to do it, and you have 20 adjudication centers for a precinct, you go with what you've got. So it can cut either way for a party. You could have two people there of the same party making decisions. Do you think there are good precincts, there are bad precincts, there are good people, there are bad people? You have to understand, if you're looking at precincts, right, in Arizona, let's just say, in any of those full week of running those, if those teams make a bad judgment call just 10 times, bad judgment calls, they didn't look at them straight, they looked at them cross-eyed, or they decided they just wanted to change it to whatever they wanted to change it to because nobody was looking, it only takes 10. 10. And the other candidate has won this election. That's how rigged adjudication is. Now, here's where I'm going to give you your test, right? Visualize for me, folks. You have a ballot. This is not my ballot, but some of my reports. And all these ballots have all these ovals on it. And you've got to look in each oval, and we're just going to use these right here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. There's 12. You got to look at them and understand what it is. Understand on the ballots, the average is 85. You look at 85 votes. So let's just do it real quick. Even if it was 1 second a vote, just to look at an oval, 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 right? So this one would take 12 seconds because I'm going to look at it. Okay, that's right. Okay, that's 12 seconds for this. So that's your test. Now, let me ask you this. On some of these adjudication machines, you would have 3,000 ballots that needed adjudication, right? So you got 3,000, right? Times, and we're going to say 10 seconds. Who's going to run my calculator here for me? I'm going to get to this. Ready? Because here's how you have to understand these things. And this is what most people don't understand. Okay, let me share my screen. Hang on, I'm going to share my brain with you. This will be my last little demo, I promise. Chrome, calculate us later. Okay, you can see it on my screen. Okay, so if they had 3,000 ballots and it took on average time 10 seconds to expect one ballot, that is 30,000 seconds. There are 60 seconds in a minute. That means they need 500 minutes to do those. Divided again, there are 60 minutes in an hour. That means they need 8.33 hours to adjudicate those ballots. You understand how to do it? Do it again. You got 3,000 ballots. It took 10 seconds each. That's 30,000 seconds. There are 60 seconds in a minute. That's 500 minutes. There are 60 minutes in an hour. It's 8.33 hours. Okay, so you with me? Here's your test. There are logs of adjudications of 1,000s where the adjudicators spent less than 30 seconds adjudicating 3,000. You know what that means? Select all, this candidate, accept. Now, number one, I have no freaking earthly idea why any election machine in the world should let that happen. Jovan Pulitzer deep fake. Okay. I don't even know why that should happen. It's batch adjudication. You're right, Chris. Rocking on. That's it. Do you follow? How can that be okay? And the machine is designed to do this. These machines aren't designed to run these things great. These machines are designed to do nefarious things. That's right. It's humanly impossible. It is not okay. period. Yes, period. So let's close for the evening. And yeah, I'll give you that, Mary. What the fuck? You are kidding. But these are the facts. And this is what people do not know about these things, etc. And I love all of y'all too. Thank you very much. Paul Brown says this guy's a fucking lunatic. Yes, I'm a lunatic. Paul Brown. Let me find Paul Brown. I'm going to show you something cool. This is awesome, right? So, Paul Brown never gets to talk to me again. I just used 2 fingers and I clicked the button and terminated his relationship with me. How cool is that? I adjudicated his ass live right here on the stream. Thank you, Ote, very much. Ote, Ote, Ote. Anyway, okay, so thank you, folks. Let's go out with some music, right? Let's go out some music. I'll play your comments underneath, okay? And let's have some fun. I love you. Tune in to Mike Lindell's frankspeech.com tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. Tune in. You're going to see some broadcasts by me. We're going to have some fun. Let's go.
If we lost the election, we know when we lose. If I lost the election, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. Seriously, the county has refused to produce the network routers. We want the routers, Sonny. The county refused to produce the network routers. Wendy, we gotta get those routers, please. Get up! The routers. Come on, Kelly, we can get those routers. Those routers. Wow. If you got those routers, what that will show. And they don't want to give up the routers. They are fighting like hell. Why are these commissioners fighting not to give the routers? How simple could it be? That will tell the truth. And they don't want to give up the routers. What are they trying to hide? And I say it, and I'll say it, because the easiest way of cheating is to throw them away. That's easier. The county has refused to produce the network routers. We want the routers, Sonny. The county refused to produce the network routers. Wendy, we gotta get those routers, please. Get up! It's so unfair. It's so unfair. It's so ridiculous. I'll be honest, though. Look, we all like to win. If I lost this election, I could handle it pretty easily. What? 1 in 24, sir. You're gonna win. And I say, wait a minute. I just won 6 months ago. The big lie, they call it. Those claims are unproven. And knowing what happened in the election is a good thing, not a bad thing. It's a good thing, not a bad thing. It's a good thing. The county has refused to produce the network routers. We want the routers, Sonny. The county refused to produce the network routers. Wendy, we gotta get those routers, please. Get up! If you think about cancel, everything about cancel culture, they want cancel culture. But what they don't want to do is anything having to do with the 2020 election. We have no press. We have no voice. They almost got away with it. They may have gotten away with it. And I've got to tell you, I've got to say this. I've never said it before, but I've always thought it. I get along with Putin because that's a good thing, not a bad thing. The county has refused to produce the network routers. We want the routers, Sonny. The county refused to produce the network routers. Wendy, we got to get those routers, please. Get up! Get up!